We are two best friends talking about life inside and outside of the gym as women, daughters, sisters, aunties, coaches, and friends.
We will tackle topics ranging from the nervous system, divorce, body image, and dating in your 40s.
We also like to nerd out on the inner workings of the heart, mind, and body. All content, opinions, and ideas are taken from our 47 years of combined coaching experience and is not medical advice.
We don't apologize for being strong or believing we can change the world. We don't take ourselves too seriously around here, and we invite you to do the same.
All right, we are back in business. The things you start during COVID and then get back to real life and then sort of forget about.
Yes. Yeah, because the last time we did a podcast was when?
I don't know. Let's look. Hello, Spotify. Let's see. February 22nd, 2021.
Whoa.
So we've had a
And
2-year
February's at the beginning of the
hiatus.
year.
Yep. We're about at a 2-year hiatus. Yep. Episode 16. We are picking
Wow.
up episode 17 two
Okay,
years
this
later.
is episode 17.
Yep.
All right.
A conversation about the 10th cranial nerve.
Yep.
So we talked about the cranial nerve.
Yep, the vagus nerve last time.
All right.
Yep, got
Good
a
to
little
know.
nerded out a little bit.
Okay.
All right,
You
so
did
everyone.
say I thought it was nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Dear Life I'm In podcast. I am Shantell Dayton, and this is my best friend.
Luke Renshaw. We are so glad that you are joining us.
Yes, best friend, business partner. And
Yep.
I was very thrilled this morning as I woke up because I was like, I get to record a podcast with Lou, and basically we just get to chat and have coffee together.
Have a conversation.
Right?
I changed my coffee out for
That's true.
some electrolytes.
Yeah.
It's just making my mouth feel way too parched. Yeah.
Nothing worse than listening to a podcast.
Whoever hates mouth noises
Oh.
just hate that you did that. My sister is so mad that you just did that in the
This
microphone.
one goes out to you, Ellie. Yeah, it's pretty bad when you're listening to somebody talk close to a mic. Or yeah.
Or the poor people on the TED Talks who you can tell their mouths get really dry.
Yeah,
and they've
why
got those
haven't they figured that
microphones.
out yet?
I have no idea.
They really need to figure it out because it's so bad.
And you feel bad for them because you know that they have cotton mouth and there's nothing they can do about it. And they're on the TED Talk stage. And
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Stop your 18 minutes to drink some water?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
But then you also think, does everybody have dry mouth, or is it just the way that
You
mic
just
is set
get
up?
nervous.
Yeah,
Get
I
nervous
don't
and your
know.
mouth gets dry and,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so what the heck are we starting this 2-year hiatus topic at? I mean, are we getting, really deep? Are we what are we doing today? Because this was your idea.
This was my idea. Yes, we have been needing to have a discussion about all the things dating for a very long
Okay,
time.
dating. Let's change that to online dating.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, I have not bumped into a handsome man in the grocery store
No.
and ended up out on a date. We're talking online dating.
Yes, online dating.
Yep.
Because as some of you may know or may not know, Lou and I are both single. And we've been single for a while now. And it's been probably 2 years ago?
It was during COVID.
Yeah, I had said, all right, I'm taking the deep dive. I'm doing it, going online, and we'll see what happens.
Said, oh, heck no. I am not doing that. Okay, because everyone, I'm going to age myself a little bit because I am a little bit older than you. You are definitely wiser, but I am older.
Well, thank you very much.
I mean, when AOL came out, chat rooms, dial-up internet.
I'm sorry. Can you tell those that are listening to this or watching what
AOL
AOL
your computer
is?
used to have to be plugged into the wall, and then you turned on that you wanted internet on, and then it did this dial-up thing, and it made this noise, and then AOL was, I don't even know if it was
America
an actual
Online.
Yeah, America Online, but I think it was. I don't even know what it was. Was it like a Google? I don't even know if it was like a Google.
I don't know. I don't know. Was
either.
it like Charter?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
There was this little guy, and you had a screen name, and that's kind of, I'm pretty sure that's just how you got on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
I can't
am
remember.
having flashbacks, though, of being in my college dorm room with my freshman year roommate, and she got one of those cool, I mean, some of you can look it up. It's back in 1999, like one of the Mac computers, like the desktop, and they were colored. They had these big, it was like a big cube. And
yeah, I remember it. And it was like a little transparent, right?
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
like see
Uh-huh,
like
pink
the
and
wires
teal
and the cool
yeah.
things. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So she had a teal one, and I didn't have I don't even know. I may have had a computer. It wasn't as cool as that one though. No, I didn't have a computer. I didn't. And so I remember,
Did you have a cell
signing
phone
on.
then?
I got a cell phone my freshman year of college because we got stuck. This girl that I was driving home from college with, we got stuck in the snow in Hilt and
Oh, boy.
went home for Christmas break, and my mom she was really worried, and so I got one of those Nokia.
The little
Nokias
okay. The
with
first
the
ones.
kink keys. Yep, no flip phone or anything like that, but the big rectangle one. And I got that with the gray screen, and you had to hit three
you
buttons,
hit
bing,
the
bing,
button,
bing,
yeah,
to get a C.
three times. Yep.
Yep. Texting was not a thing then. Texting was. I remember learning about texting and thinking this would be so annoying.
Yeah,
because
it
you have
was
to, like,
so annoying. And then you thought, I can't believe that people actually send text messages
Yes.
because it takes so long
Why
to
not
do.
just talk on the phone?
Just call me. Yeah, just call me. And now people call you and you're like, why are you
Why you're
calling
calling
me?
me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Why don't you just text me?
Just text me. I know.
Yep.
It's real.
Very, very true. Okay,
Yeah.
so you didn't have a computer. Your
Didn't have a
friend
computer.
okay.
But she did. Get your AOL screen name, which I have no idea what it even was.
Oh, I would love to know what
I
yours
bet,
was.
you know what I bet it was? I bet it was Sweet Bells 10 because Lou being my nickname, people would call me Sweet Lou, which I guess Sweet Lou was some person. I don't know who. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But then my mom used to call me Lulu Bell, which was very embarrassing. And some of the girls on my soccer team caught wind of it, and so they would call me Lulu Bell. And then so
Which
I
is
think
actually very sweet.
it's very sweet.
It's like so endearing.
I look at it
Lulu
now and I think, oh my gosh, you took yourself way too seriously. Is ultimately what it was. I
Yeah,
just took
yeah,
myself
yeah.
way too seriously.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure I took like Sweet Lou and Lulu Bell and did Sweet Bells, and then my number was 10.
Okay. So that was your AOL.
That was
or
probably
your,
my
like, on your
AOL.
screen name.
Yes. I also took that and put it on a license plate. But the license plate was not as long in letters. So what it
Oh
looked
boy,
like
can't wait
was
to hear what this is.
SWTBLS. So if you look at that, maybe type it out and see what you think.
Well, I can.
Yeah. So people would say, "What are your license plate? Sweaty balls?" Like, yeah, no, but
Yeah, totally. That's
Yep.
it. Sweaty balls. Sorry.
On my red.
Would you like
on
a
my
personalized
red
license plate? Yes. Sweaty balls, please. Is that taken?
But that was on the first car I bought.
Sweaty
It
Balls
was
10,
Sweaty
right?
Balls 10. It was so bad. And then I already had it, and it was even worse. It was on my
A red Bug, right?
Red Volkswagen Bug, the new Volkswagen Bug. So nice round and red and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was something else. Let me get to the point.
Great.
I did online dating back in the early days of online dating before, FaceTime and things like that. So you'd end up, talking to people and then try to figure out how to get a picture, but then you'd have to send them in the mail, and it always was
Send
bad.
pictures in the mail?
Well, how are you supposed to? There's no
Whoa.
There's
Yeah,
no
that's
way
true.
to. You don't just it wasn't an easy way to just upload a picture.
Yeah.
Because it didn't come from your phone. There's those of you that are younger are wondering, how in the world is this even possible? So I did some online dating in college. It was bad every time. It wasn't bad every time. There was this one guy that sort of redeemed it, and he was awesome, but I messed it up. Weird.
Oh.
Weird. He was great.
Okay. So that
And
was your
then
first.
That was my
that's your
experience.
first
Yeah, and then
with
did a
online
little bit probably in my early to mid 20s, where it was maybe a little bit better. I think maybe I did the Match.com eHarmony type thing, but I was always
Which
just
they've been around for a
hoping-
really long time.
Long time.
Because they're still around and they're like still like in the mix of all
Yeah,
the things.
they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. And charge a lot of money.
So when you
So I hear.
said, so when you said, I'm going to do online dating, I remember legitimately looking at you and saying, oh, heck no, I am not doing this.
Yeah. And
I'm
I
just not
remember
gonna do this.
you talking a little bit about it, but then really after when I said that I was going to do it, extensively, you had like informed me on what it was like. And I was like, man, I just really don't know if I want to do this. But it was really something that I thought after.
Tell us about your membership.
Oh yeah. let me inform you on
As to what?
as to where my mind was when this whole
Sky
thing
is so blue all the time.
So I thought, okay, I'd been single for a while, and I was like, very much so. You're my best friend, right? And so you've been through some hard seasons with me,
Yeah.
and just a lot of self-reflection, a lot of growth. And I thought, okay, I don't know when I'm going to be ready to date, but I'm just,
feel like I'm ready
a
to
little,
mingle.
yeah, I feel like I'm ready to mingle. But then went on a couple dates, scared me a little bit. I was like, okay, so when you really date for the right reasons, this is a little different than just dating so you're not alone.
Yeah.
You know,
Or just for a
or you're just
hookup.
lonely, or yeah. And so I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't ready. And so then about another year or two after that, and that was like organic. That was like organic dating. That was through knowing other people.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
that
I
was, I know, it's so great. So great. Anyway.
So I have this
And-
friend.
Yeah, I have this friend who's single. And now you really wonder sometimes when people tell you that. You're like, okay, yeah, all right. And so then I had told you I'm going to try the online thing. And so I felt like I was ready, and I was ready to step into this world. And so here it is. You start to fill out your information and your profile, and it says, you know, what package would you like to choose or purchase? And it gives you options of month to month, and then it gives you the option of 3 months or a year. And I legitimately, like, I remember talking to you about this and saying, why in the world would anyone sign up for like 3 months? This doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to log on and I'm going to find the love of my life immediately.
So you legitimately just thought that you would need 1 month.
Oh yeah, my heart was racing so fast when I did my profile, because I'm thinking he's going to pop up any minute. He's going to pop up any minute, and here we go. And so launched my profile, and then boom, boom, boom. You get like these hits, right? So somebody
Dopamine,
like,
dopamine.
I'm just like, but for me, I'm like panic, because I'm like, is this the beginning of the next season?
Yeah.
Is this the moment?
Am I going to be pregnant in 9 months?
Yeah, I know. Right? Is the coffee date going to turn into marriage immediately? Is the pastor on speed dial? Like, what is... There was just, you know, and I didn't realize, I don't feel like it was naive. I felt like it was very hopeful.
You are an optimistic human being. You are a glass half full all the time kind of woman, which is incredible and inspiring, because I don't function like that. I am so much of a realist that sometimes you gotta be like, okay, snap out of it. Let's go. Let's the glass is half full, Lou. Oh yes, you're right. It is half full.
Yes,
The sky is blue. I'm getting better and better, but
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely getting better. And I think that there was for sure seasons where like my optimism was for sure just avoiding reality.
Yeah.
100%. And then came like this season where I just felt so hopeful, and also really willing to ask myself, like, do I want, knowing that what I want in the long term is to be in a relationship, to be married, to have babies, to run in this incredible life with my husband,
Yeah.
you know? And so that was very exciting to me. But
Yeah.
yet it was also, I knew that in order for that to happen, that I needed to take risk, and I was going to need to fumble over my words and be that doofus where, like, after a date, you get in your car and you're like, what did I just say? Like, what?
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Have a great sleep. You're like, night, have a great day. Like,
Do I
what
shake
did
your hand?
say?
Do I give you a hug?
Yeah. Like, is it weird? Like, what, you know? And so,
Please don't try to kiss me.
yeah. Or please do.
Or please, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of dates. I'm like, please don't. I really hope you're not. You don't look like your pictures.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard. And so I really did think that anybody that I would see that I was interested in, I thought, oh my gosh, like, they have potential. Like, are they the one? And then I realized that's actually kind of, as much as it was optimistic, was also very unhealthy, because then I was evaluating them like they were the one, like all of the things, like, and my list at the top of the list was like calves. Do they have nice calves? And when I realized that that's not appropriate to have at the top of the list, things really needed to
And
start to change.
profile pictures, there's not very many men who, you know, somebody out there needs to start a business for helping men take pictures for online dating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, so when I signed up, I was like, man, screw this 3-month membership. No way. A year? Like, but then they tried to sell you, and I'm like, oh, these poor girls, you know, like, I'm thinking that. And here I am 2 years later.
Well, let's see.
Come on.
it was
2.5 years?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
isn't so,
I'm
Lou.
trying to figure out when in COVID, because I remember it was still when we were in the first lockdown. I'm pretty sure that's when it was. So that.
Because what we thought was everybody's at home. So the cash is going to be much bigger
Yeah.
in this. Like, there's going to be so many more humans on this platform.
I mean, there are a lot of humans. Not really sure
there
where to
are.
go from here.
Yes,
like my
there
mind
are.
is over here and over here and over here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I signed up, and as did you. And then once we realized that very shortly, it didn't really take longer than a month to realize that this is going to be rough.
Especially where we live.
Yes, it's going to
Yes.
be rough. And then not only that, but we went on all of the sites. I just jumped in every pool that I possibly could.
And
I
then
was like,
realized, oh, we're all in the same pools.
I know, where it was Facebook dating, which was free. Excellent. There's a reason why it's free, folks.
Yes,
There's a
there
reason
is
why
a
it's
reason.
free. Yes. And then after experiencing people.
Zeusk?
Yeah, Zeusk was
Oh, yeah,
also.
that one was
yeah,
really
Zeusk
bad.
was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely Match,
The
Bumble.
Match, Bumble.
What else was there? Hinge.
Hinge.
Yep.
All fishes or fishes?
Plenty of fish.
Plenty of fish? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
there were
there's a lot of
different
them.
places
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So, in the midst of all of this, definitely some good
Needless
dates.
to say, we're still single.
Yeah. We're not selling online dating at all.
We also live in Medford, Oregon. This is very difficult because where we live, I mean, it's not a small town. It's not a small valley, but we're not a big city.
You grew up here, and I grew up here.
Yeah. But where we live, so on Bumble, you get a 99-mile radius or the whole country. You get 0 to 99 miles, and then 99 miles, you can't go 200 miles. You have to go the whole country, which ultimately is not the whole country. It's
No.
maybe from the Rockies over.
Yeah.
Right? That's how this kind of works.
What side of the Rockies are you on?
Yeah, exactly. But within 99 miles of us, we're the biggest town. So it doesn't get any bigger. You don't hit Eugene or Portland or Salem or Reading or Bend. You don't hit any of these bigger cities in our 99-mile radius. So most days, if you put down you in your filters, you put, let's say I'd like him to be active and believe in God. Like just those two things.
Yeah, because how many filters are there?
There's a
quite
lot.
few.
So there's height. There's a validated profile, so that they're not a bot or fake.
Which is important.
That's real.
Yeah.
There's how much do they drink? Not at all, socially or frequently.
Or sober.
Or
Also
sober.
put that one on
Sober's
there.
on there
Yeah.
too. Do they exercise? I'm active.
Yes.
I sometimes and never.
Do they smoke cigarettes?
Do they smoke cigarettes?
Do they smoke weed?
Do they smoke weed?
And on
What's
some
their-
of them, it's if they do drugs. There's actually on Hinge, there is a little pill in the corner of, that's also one. I'm like, what's that for? I look it up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I mean, okay, can we just talk about the amount of times that I've had to Google some 3-letter abbreviation that I don't know what this is.
Elemental P. You're like, what is that? I was like, that is not anything that I've
had to Google way too many things. I don't know if I'm aging myself or.
And then when you search for it on your phone, then you're terrified that someone.
What's the algorithm?
The
gonna trigger?
algorithm, because you're like, I'm into elemental P, and then you're like, oh my gosh, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then you open your app right back up, and you're like, left,
swipe.
Does your
left.
mother know about that? You're like, it's horrible.
Yeah,
things I never
I've had to
knew.
Google. Yes, so many things I've had to Google. So we've got all these filters. Then you've got what? You've got horoscope sign, political views, religious background.
That's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That I can think of.
How if they want
education.
children, education. If you want children, or if you have children and you want more, or those ones.
And what you're looking for.
And
So
what you're looking for,
marriage,
so marriage,
something
relationship,
casual.
something
Yeah. Relationship.
And this is just on Bumble. I have settled in on. I'm just on Bumble. I mean, I'm still on Facebook, but it's still pretty messy.
I can't do Facebook anymore.
Yeah,
It was
good
like
for you.
I was
Good for
like,
you.
whoa. I
I don't
can't.
know if I just got desperate.
I started I felt like I needed to pray for some people. I'm like, we just need to. Can we just bow our heads, please?
Or can you just go take a bath?
Oh, I know it's awful.
Or like brush your teeth or comb your hair.
Where you think like some of them are jokes. You're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. But then others really are. Where then you just start feeling like my heart starts to ache.
Yes.
Where I'm like, they are very serious. Like some of them are very serious, and I'm like, I really hope that you find somebody that you're looking for. But I'm like, there needs to be a filter where this is not the category that I want to be in. I want like a warrior of a man who is like ready and willing to like take on the world, as do you, which is also another problem because we both live in the same town.
Yeah.
And we're around the same age.
That's a
That's
whole
another one.
That's another one.
Yes.
I was thinking, I'm not sure we're going to be able to have that long of a podcast about this, but as we're talking, I'm thinking, oh boy, this is good.
Yeah, I really think like it's been so great having you to like even go and we have other girlfriends as well that are also single and online, and we just share stories about, and not even bad ones, but just where we get challenged as women of even, the title of the podcast. We talked about, change your filters
Because literally where we live, if I put in that he's active and believes in God, and he's within 99 miles of me, the chances of that little yellow screen popping up that says change your filters is very high. There's not even man. Not there's none.
Yeah, no. No.
Some days there are, and most days they're not. Then you put in your other things like, does he have an education? Is that the most important thing? No, but educated. He maybe wants to have kids, or he has kids. And some of them just, don't put in their information. So sometimes I just take off all the filters and just see what's there. Which on Bumble, we as the women have to make the first move or reach out, which is kind of nice because We've gotten some real creepy stuff.
Yeah. There's definitely some creepy stuff. And even then you send and you make a connection. And then once we send the message, right, then it leaves this line of communication open where now they can send whatever they want.
Yeah.
And which can be very interesting. But for the most part, being on this platform, I feel like this is one of the safest ones that we've been on, that I've been on, that our other friends have been on, just because I feel like it's the most used, widely used.
Yeah.
And then there's been some like rules and laws that have been passed because people get unsolicited nude pics and weird videos, and which some don't even allow you to send videos or pictures because of that reason. And so there's some things that I never, ever, ever thought that I would ever need to be like, I don't know, worried about or concerned about in my life, being 38 years old.
Like what?
And like even just like making connection with somebody that I don't know and them sending me a picture of a body part that I don't want to see, like what?
Or how about opening up people that want to know you, and you open up to a happily married couple who's looking for a third to add to their really great relationship.
I don't even want that in my head.
What?
And you and I, we are women who have faith, right? Like we definitely have rode the horse, so to speak, of, okay, we're just going to wait until our man we cross paths somewhere.
Man, I sat in a lot of coffee shops in my 20s. A lot.
Yeah.
Early 30s.
I did not.
Oh, yeah, I did. I'm like, he's going to walk in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walking around the grocery store. He's going to be in the Apple section.
Yeah. And it just doesn't, it doesn't happen. Or you go on trips and you just are like, okay, your eyes are up and you're looking and you realize that everybody's eyes are down and you're like, okay. And then optimism pops in and you're like, well, everybody else's eyes are down, his eyes are going to be up, and my eyes are going to be up. So we're going to be the only ones that see each other, right? There's like all of this, and then you go through seasons where you just feel, I mean, I don't want to be dramatic and say like you feel dead inside, not that, but where you walk around and you're like, you're a little hopeless, where it's like, man, like this is, do I join this world? And when you and I both decided to do it, it's been so great to have someone to kind of keep me on track when that hopelessness can look and sound more like me compromising my beliefs and where I want to stand as a woman, in like, not in like being stiff or rigid, but in just like, hey, like I'm beginning to question whether or not this is really important for me in a relationship, because I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life, and as much as I love you as my best friend and my business partner, and we hang out all the time because we are single and roommates. Yes.
I don't want to be your roommate forever.
I don't want to be your roommate forever either.
I mean, it'll be a sad day when we're not.
Yes.
But yeah.
I'm like, we're like a few years away from having cats, which is not.
No.
I'm not believing for that either. But I am saying that after
it's getting there. It feels like it. It's been about 3 years on online dating.
It's been a couple. Now that they say it's been a minute. So I feel in this season where it's really easy to just change your filters in the sense that is even not just on there to see what's
click them all
out
off.
there.
I have no filters anymore.
Yeah, I have no filters, but really sifting through like what's a deal breaker, and where am I feel like it's really forced me to open my eyes to not possibilities in like what I'm willing to compromise, but what am I actually standing on that is extremely important for me to stay standing on the whole time? And what are other things, especially, when you look at like what we do for a living, like for me, an active man who looks active is important for me. Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm physically attracted to that. So, I mean, if you can't read between the lines, I'm talking about some muscles, folks, some muscles. And, A good smile, a nice head of hair, like all those things, right? Like I love the calves. I love like big, strong biceps and things like that. But now I'm thinking, okay, like these are things that you can have a beautiful man standing in front of you and he could be as dull as a rock and really pretty to look at and not pay attention to you and not have the same beliefs or morals, or even just they don't even want to go the direction that you're going.
Yeah.
And then you have a man who is more on the average side of, as far as like, he's not a
Having
supermodel.
all the things.
Yeah. And so I really wrestled with that for a while. And you're like, well, I want one with both. And so then there's like the stubbornness on my side where it's like he needs to be all of the things. And once I really started realizing that, gosh, like that's actually, it's not an empty place to stand, but it's very conditional. It's very, I'm just closing myself off to a lot of experiences and places in my heart that can be awakened, you know, and I don't want to do that. And so I didn't necessarily change my filters, but I definitely went to a place where it was like, okay, well, maybe I did change my filters because I did take off some things. And now it's no, like these foundational things are extremely important to me. And one of those things is faith, you know, it's their morals and integrity and and laughter is so important, you know, in connection with two people. And so those are things where, and them being active is important, but it doesn't mean that they have to look a certain way. And that's been really hard for me to swallow. Because I mean, I want a husband who I find extremely attractive, physically, as well as all the other things about him. And I know you kind of feel the same way. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that there are those things that, you know what, I don't want to budge on these things. I feel like these are really, really important, but then also going, okay, what are those other things that I can just let go from the wayside? Sometimes I'll just open up my filters because you never know who just didn't click a bunch of stuff and you might miss something, you know? But I also feel like sometimes that you're scrolling, right? You're scrolling through humans and you either swipe right or you swipe left. And it was probably in the last 3 months, sometimes the swipe feels way more high stakes than it should.
Yeah.
Where, you know, homeboy has 3 pictures of him in a bike helmet and then one with his dog in a backpack. And I'm absolutely swiping left.
Can we talk about the bike helmet for just a second?
I don't understand it. Guys, stop it. Stop posting pictures in your bicycle helmets. Why? I don't understand.
I don't get it either.
I don't.
It's just, I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know of any man who looks attractive in a bicycle helmet.
Or
I don't
any
know of
woman
any
that
woman
looks beautiful
who
in
looks
a bicycle
beautiful
helmet.
with a bicycle
I would
helmet.
never post a picture. But the amount of men that are wearing bicycle helmets
It's so true.
in their profile pictures is astounding.
Yes.
Or the laying back in their bed, like selfie.
Oh yeah. You know you're
where
not
they're
the
on
first girl
pillows.
that's seen that
Like,
picture.
you didn't take that picture for me.
No.
You sent that to somebody else.
Or your mom.
Yeah.
So we know.
Yeah. So
it's very strange.
It's really, really, really interesting to look at those things or seeing things that just aren't attractive. I never knew that a man with a really tiny dog in a backpack,
How that made you feel inside.
I would have no idea how that made me feel inside.
Yeah.
But it makes me want to swipe left. I mean, there is nothing inside of me that goes, oh my gosh, I would love to meet that man. I'm thinking that guy has a little tiny dog in a backpack. Or the little bunny on his shoulder. There's just certain things that just don't necessarily scream masculinity to me. And he could be very masculine. There's just something about the little dog And you can disagree with me. Those of you that are out there listening, you can totally disagree. That's okay. So that could totally be for you. It's not for me. And it's totally okay that it's not for me. But
Yes.
it really is that there's certain things where you didn't even know that you weren't attracted to that.
Yeah, or that it would even make you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Where
But
or
sometimes-
there's other things like, what have you found that you didn't know that you would be attracted to? Like that surprised you.
Well, I mean, sometimes that's really hard because it's just a picture. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, a man outside who's fit, obviously, you know that. I mean, obviously, you must have something that you know that you were surprised
Well,
by.
just even as you were talking about that, I was like, gosh, are there things that I'm surprised by that I find attractive? And I think one of them is like them with other people.
That's a good, yeah. I have
Yeah.
not had enough time to think about this, but yes.
Yeah, I feel like because there's definitely when the pictures are just them, or even the guys where you would think like, oh, like that's a really nice picture of this person, or like when they have like they're dressed up really nice, or they're like leaning against a nice car. Like those things actually aren't attractive to me.
No,
at all.
that actually makes me deeply question who you are. As a
yeah,
human.
and so I'm like, okay,
Not deeply. That sounded really intense. But I just wonder, is that your car? Or did
Is
you
that
just
your
take a picture
car?
so that I think that that's your car,
Yes.
but that's not really?
is your homeboy like, are you guys in a photo shoot in the backyard? Like what's going on
Or
here?
is it like
you know?
some event where the event people rented a car and then you took a picture in front of it?
Yeah. So I find that when I see a picture with guys with their buddies, or like I love those ones.
Yes.
Those ones I'm like, all right, he's down
He's
for
got
adventure.
friends.
He has friends.
Yeah.
And
he's got people around him.
like I saw a picture the other day of a man in a group full of women. He was the only one in the group full of women. I'm like, why would you post that on a? You're
'Cause
not.
he looks like he can pull
He looks like a
chicks.
baller. But I'm
you
like,
should pick him because he.
I don't want a man who finds like that, like, oh yeah, something that he wants to share with me.
Yeah.
It was immediate. And
Yeah.
but this is the problem I feel like with the online community is like I say it like I'm part of the community. That was really weird. This is how you are representing yourself. You're not trying to sell yourself, but you're trying to let people who know nothing about you
into your life.
And this is me. And so even in the small brief bio that you get, I don't know how many characters, is it like 200 or something?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I'm always trying to like do emojis so I could fit
I
more
use
words in
emojis
there.
so you can
Yeah.
take out a word or
like
two.
action movies. I'm like, how do I do action
the little
movies? Action movie.
yeah,
Like the
or
little,
the ninja. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Anyway,
Looking for because looking is a lot of letters, so I just have the two emoji eyes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. But when they just say, ask me,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's just something, if a man has nothing to say about himself or he doesn't know what to say about himself, I also question that.
Yeah.
Where ask me, where then you're going to be prompted to, and I know that there's more, but I'm like, what do you want me to know about you immediately before there's any engagement? And that's also really important to me.
Yeah. And there are profiles where you look at the pictures and you're, I don't really know. But then you read some things and you're going to swipe because of how clever they are or how funny their bio is or, the silly things that they write in their bios. And because it's fun and it's playful and I know you're not taking yourself too seriously, but you also are engaged enough with yourself and you can tell me about you. And so those things I think are great.
Yeah, I totally agree. The most common thing I feel like I see on there is, and tell me if you see it in their bio where it says, I'm not here for a long time. I'm just here for a good time. And I'm like, okay, Toby Keith, like what that tells me right now is that you're not original. And like, I mean, it is like all I don't know how many times I've seen that. I've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
And then they'll have like a thumbs up or like the hang loose. And I'm like, okay, nope, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
can't do
Next. I can't do it. It's just things that are, but I also am really aware that it's really hard to honestly describe who you are and what you're looking for in a short period. Because it took me a while, and like there for a little bit, like I would adjust because you want a little bit of cheeky, you want a little bit of honesty, but you also want to be direct.
Yeah, or you don't have a lot of characters to, which you wonder how often men read the bio, or do they just look at the picture and then swipe and then not? But then maybe they do.
Yeah. Well, you know the ones that match where, because I have on there, I'm a Christian and I'm conservative. And so the men who are progressive isn't a category on there, but they clearly are in their bio. They would say things that I don't necessarily partner with or agree with. And they're an atheist. And I'm like, I'm looking, and in my bio, I say I'm looking for a man with shared values and beliefs and faith. And so I'm like, you did not read anything because you do not believe in God, and that's okay, right? Bless
He
you.
just saw your blue eyes and he was like, oh, yeah, she pretty. Right? But then over time, you sort of evolve what what you write in your bio just to, mine now says, I probably don't live near you, right? Because you might match with somebody and then they'll realize, oh, you're not even close to me. And you're like, well, yeah. I do wish Bumble had a feature that said willing to relocate, or, where you kind of knew where people were at with that. I feel like that would be really helpful.
So some of the tricks of the trade that we have like come across that I adopted early on, and then you are like, yes, okay, I'm gonna start doing this, was to send people a video and saying like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm real and I'm not some.
You're not getting
Sweaty
manti-teoed. I like to say that.
Manti-teoed, yeah. That's so true.
I had let them know. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know you're not getting manti-teoed.
Yeah.
And some of them go, I
don't know who that is. Yeah.
Or what that is.
I will say, I'll basically say to them, I'm not some dude in his mid-30s living in his mom's basement. I am actually a woman. And they usually find that pretty funny because it is very, very true. And then they'll either send one back, and which is great.
Yep.
And you and I are on camera often, and so we're kind of naturals. And so the amount of times that men will try to send a video and they're like, I'm so sorry,
they're so nervous.
I'm ridiculous,
which actually is adorable.
It really is.
It's very, very adorable.
Yeah. And so then making sure, because they're for the longest time, not the longest time, they're for a while, I wouldn't, if there wasn't any connection in person, it was still, you were just texting back and forth and and just keep going and going.
It
is.
It's
And
like soul
you're like, I don't even know what your voice sounds like.
No.
So hard. So now I'm sending you a video, you send me a video back, and then we get to see how that interaction is.
And if you don't send me a video, I think maybe you're not real. You might not be a real person.
Like the heartbreaking thing when you send somebody a video and then they don't say anything. I'm like, what did I say?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like looking in the mirror. Do I have something in my teeth? And then I like rewatch it and I'm like, oh, that's pretty funny. Well, and it's like this like feeling where I'm like, this is where like that, not even like the affirmation, but this is where this can get hard because there's such a hope, and you feel like even you're putting yourself out there, you're putting your heart out there, and how much do you put out there? How much do you not put out there? And these are things that I don't feel like we were designed to need to calculate at such a level like this. And so it's very stressful. It's very stressful for our system, for our hearts, you know?
Well, I think probably over the last 6 months, I had this really interesting situation with, there were two men, and it was this place of holding tension, and then one was just a man, and there was so many, and he was like saying things that you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is so great, and then they just turn out to not be what they said that they were going to be, which is always just a little confusing, you know. But I remember just realizing that for me, online dating has been this massive tension between hope and disappointment, and really trying to allow myself to be disappointed, acknowledging, oh my gosh, I really thought that could have been something, or the looking forward to it, or the hopefulness of it, and then it not being what you wanted it to be, right?
Yeah, that's good.
And then there's that holding on to hope where you do match with somebody, you're having a great conversation, and then there's this hope rising, and then something happens, and then there's the disappointment. And so it feels like there's this really big tension between hope and disappointment, and we get to live in it, or we get to try to get out of it.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's been really good. And I think every once in a while, last weekend, I had this it was just weird. It was just a weird situation that just.
Yeah, I think you should share it a little, not to the extent.
Yeah.
But I think that it was really important, like after, because obviously being with you through that, like, hey, good luck, hey, have fun. And then
Yeah.
you're coming home and being like, all right, this is good. And then
Yeah.
like just being there interacting with you, but then realizing at the end, you're like, he was just,
Yeah.
disappointed.
So that tension every once in a while after a situation that feels really hopeful, and then you acknowledge the disappointment of what happened, I usually feel like I need to take a break. So this week I haven't even hardly been on my app, because I feel like I just need a little bit of time to just sift through, like, WTF. What was that? I mean, did it have to be that?
Yeah.
And so Thursday night, I was laying in bed, and I just was thinking, I'm just so tired. You get these guys that are texting you, and then they text you, good morning, how was your day yesterday? And then they kind of text you throughout the day, but there's nothing really deep. They're not wanting to come and visit. They're not wanting to get on the phone. It's just texting. And I have a life. I don't know you. I'm not even sure if I would want to hang out with you, but we just are incessantly texting. And I'm hopeful that we're going to, have a conversation.
Yeah. That
right?
something will go from this
Yes.
texting conversation
Yes.
to,
Yes.
a FaceTime.
But I'm
or,
also a woman, and in some places I am very, very old fashioned, and I would love for a man to say, hey, I want to call you. Can we talk? It's like, it feels natural staying in my feminine, and a man stepping into his masculine, and us not having to step into that role and be like, hey, we should have a conversation. Hey, when can we meet? But letting you know, I would love to meet you. You're a super interesting guy. I'm enjoying our conversations. But then there's this place where it just is this incessant talking back and forth through text, which is not talking, it's texting, or we just can't find the time to meet up,
Yeah.
and it's just not working. So anyways, there was like 3 or 4 guys that they had my phone number, and we're just texting back and forth, and I'm just.
Which sounds like, I know in some people, when they don't know about online stuff and what this looks like 3 or 4 guys, like, oh, I had like 3 or 4 guys like have my phone number and they text. It's not as
not
glamorous
like no.
as it sounds.
No,
it really isn't.
It's like, how about we exchange phone numbers so I can stop trying to get on and off this app, and this is
unless you stay connected. And,
totally. Let's
yes.
see if there's something here. So again, not very exciting.
Yes.
But so then the next morning, so that night, I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I am just, this is really tiring. I just wish that there would be some like assertiveness, and I just wish, hey, I want to take you out for a drink, or hey, can I take you out to dinner? Because men, that is very attractive. I love that. Some women these days, not about it. Like, don't hold the door for me. Don't do anything for me. Don't pay for my meal. I got it. I am not like that. I am old fashioned. I'm so glad that some men, that chivalry is not dead. The masculine man is incredible. Not the toxically masculine man, but the masculine man is incredible. It's just the beautiful polarity between masculinity and femininity. It is there by design, and it's amazing and beautiful and works really well. And so I'm desiring that. And so the next morning, I wake up, like going about my earlier morning, and I match with this guy. And so we start chatting. He's really funny. He's very forward. In forward, I don't mean like inappropriately forward. He's just, you're beautiful. You seem amazing. I would love to meet you. Yada, yada, yada. So
Guys, it's really not that hard. Those 3 things right there.
Yeah.
Those 3 things right there. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you let me know that you're physically attracted to me, that you're interested in who I am, and that you
would like to take me out today.
Yes. It's really not that hard.
Yeah. So it's about 12 o'clock, noon on a Friday. And he says to me, can I take you for drinks tonight? And I'm thinking, tonight? He lives about 3 hours away. And I was, of course, yes, that would be great. Because we don't need to keep dragging on this conversation for days and weeks and months.
Yeah.
You want to come? Let's see.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. So he comes, he drives 3 hours, and we're gonna go out and have a drink, have some food, and then he's gonna drive home. So he's driving up and back in a day, which
6 hours round
feels
trip.
incredible.
Yeah.
It feels, wow, that is really amazing of you to do that.
Yes.
Right? And so we meet for drinks, and in some place or in this conversation, we decided that we were gonna go play horse afterwards. I don't even remember how it came up, but then there was the joke of playing horse. And he's an athlete himself, so there was I don't even know how it came up. So then it was a joke, and I wasn't really sure if that was going to happen. Right? I haven't shot at basketball in years, so who knows how this is going to go?
Like that matters to you. Get out.
It mattered. I airballed a lot of shots.
She's really good at most everything she does physically. So
well, and the fact that he is athletic, that's very attractive to me. It's super attractive. So we go have drinks. We're having a great conversation. I'm still not sure if I'm attracted to him. I'm not unattracted to him, but I'm not sure if I'm super attracted to him, right? We're having a lot of conversation. We're talking about life and, a lot of things. We're having great conversation. He's funny. I'm really enjoying myself. So after, I think, 2 drinks and some food, we go play horse. We play horse. It's really fun.
And he beats you.
Really fun. Yeah, he totally beats me.
Which is great.
Yeah. And then it turned on into like one-on-one basketball, which was hilarious because he's 6'3" and I'm 5'3". So it wasn't, but I'm like, hey, don't
let me win.
Don't let me win.
Yeah.
But he's a foot taller than I am, and we're playing basketball, and he's much bigger than I am. So you just mow me right over, whatever, but it was really fun. I had a great time. And then kind of at the end, he started getting like a little bit serious, and he felt he was getting, I don't want to say necessarily he was getting insecure, but he was kind of like him and Han, that he wasn't fit enough, and I probably didn't think he was fit enough, and I want some rock hard, solid, fit guy, and which was weird because we never talked about that. There was just, I think, an assumption on his part. And I just kept saying, I'm not,
some insecurity
I'm not worried about that. Yeah. And so then he kind of really wanted to know, okay, what's next? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, you live where you live. I live here. And I don't know. I'd like to see you again. That would be really fun. Right. I mean, I openly stated I would like to see you again. And so then we kind of leave it at that. I give him a hug. I'm definitely not, I don't want him to kiss me. I'm not there. Right. But I had a great time. And so then he gets home, and I get this text really late at night, and it just spiraled into this weird, we didn't kiss, so, there must not be a second date, fine, whatever. All this stuff that I'm very confused by. It was very passive aggressive, and I kind of was really thrown off. Some really big blanket statements about women and how, they really want to get married, but they're not willing to let go of what they have. And I'm sitting there thinking, homeboy, I hung out with you for 3 hours and you want me to know whether or not I want to pick up my life and move to your small town where not many people live to see if we could, see if this would work. Like, it was so weird to me. And then the passive aggressiveness continued, and I just said, hey, how about, you seem like you have a lot of things to say and you might be a little bit disappointed about how this date went. Why don't we talk on the phone face to face and let's go back over this, right? So later in the day, we end up having this conversation and
Over FaceTime.
over FaceTime. Yeah.
Yep.
He apologized, but I just was so confused. And so I basically told him, I said, hey, I was interested in hanging out with you again. But after that, I work with people, right? I work with people a lot and on deep levels. And so there was some where he was like waving his red flags in the air. Like, I still have a lot of unresolved marriage things from my ex-wife. And, there was just a lot of things where you come in and as, I don't know for you, but for me, in a lot of situations with some men, whether it be men I'm on dates with or men that I'm dating, I have to remind myself, okay, I am not their coach and I'm not helping them with their life or their dysregulated nervous system or their lack of sleep, and then being like, well, it's probably, there's a lot of those things that we deal with humans a lot, but remembering that the man sitting in front of me, I'm not his coach, I'm looking to date him, right? And so sometimes there are red flags that you're not, I just am not willing to be here for this, because that was a lot. And that was after 3 hours with you. I can't imagine a month of dating, or if, things don't go according to plan right away. And so I just said to him, I said, I really had a good time. But the level of passive aggressiveness after what I thought was really fun, but things didn't go just the way you wanted them to.
I remember you saying, like, and I feel like this is really important, because when you or I, or even the girlfriends that we know that are single, we all have our idea of what it is that we want when we go into a date or into a relationship with someone. And it's not this huge, it's not this big list of things. It's like, it's actually really hard to describe, and yet when we're able to see on the outside of an interaction with someone, and we're able to understand, like, whoa, like, he's just disappointed. I remember that when you said that afterwards, because you can get emotional because you're so close to it, right? Because you are a player in the game, and you're a player in the game, yo. No. But when you can sit on the outside and you can be like, okay, I can be disappointed and really frustrated and upset that he is very immature about this. And
he was really
rude.
unkind. He was the rude and unkindness that for me was kind of the, no.
Yeah. So you guys, I was in the other room, and I was actually in my bedroom, and she was on FaceTime with him, but she had her earbuds in, so I could only hear one side of the conversation. I could only hear her. And I was just like, come on, like, unplug it, like, just so I can hear what he's saying. I just want to hear, because she's like, well, I mean, okay, and I'm like, what is he saying now? What is his tone like? Because you try to put the things together. But I think what's really cool in this is that you could have left that in a way where you just, like, destroyed him up one side and down the other, as far as, like, he didn't do this, he was really immature, and he was blah, 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 right? And then, but when it really came down to it at the end, you were like, he's heartbroken. He has some unresolved relational stuff from his marriage.
Because he might have said, I'm sorry, the love at first sight thing kind of hit me when you walked in the door. And,
where he's like hopeless. He wants something now. He wants it fast.
He wants his wife like today.
Yes. Yeah. And then for you to say, like, he's just disappointed that it didn't go the way that he expected it to. And then to have that be the conclusion at the end, is so much better. And the reason why I feel like you're able to stand in that place and really see that is because of the work that you have done, right?
Thanks, friend.
Yeah, the work that you've done. And then not only that, but then you get to engage with him, because I remember you saying like, hey, did I say some unkind things? Like you immediately like went to me.
Because at one point I was like, good luck finding a woman that wants to leave everything she's got after one date with you and move to your town.
I know. And I was in my room going.
And he goes, oh, that was rude. And I was like, yeah. So after we got off the phone, I kind of sat there and I thought, ooh, yeah. So I apologized. I said that was low blow. I didn't need to say that.
Yeah. Where things like that are, where you're able to be in it, not in like a raw way, but where you're there, you're available, you're interacting, not on the outside of like analyzing everything that he's doing, but like the things that he's saying makes you feel a certain way. And you're like, this isn't good. I don't, this is not what I want in a relationship. But you also don't have to stand on the outside and just, fire bullets at him. And because that's what I feel like sometimes women do nowadays. And that, it speaks to what you had just talked about before, which I'm like, ooh, we need to talk about that. Where as women, I don't feel like we have a responsibility to take care of all of the wounded men out there, but the more we know of ourselves and the better we become, the more confident we become, we are able to connect with people who, like you were able to connect with him. You were able to speak some truth that wasn't offensive, that wasn't coaching him, but you were just saying like, I believe that this is where you're at, and this is not something that I want to participate in. Not like you didn't, you weren't unkind to him, and I feel like that is very important. Like women who are like, don't open the door for me because I can open it for myself. It's like, of course you can open it for yourself. Yeah. You could also pay for your own meals. You could also, there's things where it's like, but it's that. And then the men now you have men that don't even open doors and don't even pay for meals. And that's a whole other podcast. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's definitely not right now, but it's so interesting when you step into so many opportunities to really confront your heart and what you want and what you believe in and what is important to you. When you go on these dates, or any, like I've never dated like the last time before, because I was married for a pretty long period of time. When I first started dating again as I got older, I was like, man, the last time I actually went on a date, I was 19. Yeah. And that's like when social media just like came on. That's where like cell phones, I had a cell phone. I had a cell phone for 2 years then. And so things were so different and so much more organic and than they are now. And it's definitely a different world for sure. And those of you, just a little side note, those friends of ours out there who have been married since they were in high school, dating now is different than dating when you were in high school. And so the advice that you give to us, I don't want to say you can shove it, outdated. But I want to say you can shove it, because it is completely different, my friends. It's a wild world out there. It is a wild, wild world. Like you and I have learned just to look across from each other and are like, when I know somebody's talking to Lou about dating and you should do this and you should do that. And I'm like, oh boy.
But I think that that's hard, because I think that a lot of times when that happens, there's a constant, it's always like something that you're not doing. Oh, well, it'll come when you least expect it or when you're not looking, and you're like, well, I stopped looking in this town a long time ago. And it's like, oh, well, maybe you should have your eyes open and you are looking. Or, it always most often times feels like there's something that you're doing wrong, which is why this isn't happening. So then you're trying to make yourself better so that you are now worthy of somebody picking you. And then you look around and you're like, well, I definitely know that you weren't functioning very healthy when you decided to marry. You know what I mean? So that sometimes the advice just is, and it's usually not out of ill intent, but a lot of times it feels laced with shame of that you're doing something wrong, which is why this is happening to you, or you should definitely lower your standards because what you want. I mean, I remember there was a man who said to me something and he goes, I think that you just, what you want, it doesn't actually exist, so you should probably just lower your standards. And it's not, there's not a lot, right? But there's things that you desire, but obviously the perfect man doesn't exist, and that's not what I'm even looking for.
Yeah.
Right. But there are some things that there's certain standards that I'm not going to let go because they matter. And because they matter if I'm going to say yes to somebody for forever.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not 5 dates that you can just deal with some of these things. Right. Which I think for me, vulnerably saying this, I think maybe I said this to you and another friend of ours about a year ago, which it was the first time that I said it out loud. I thought about it a lot in my head, but I think for a really long time, I didn't trust my picker. I really didn't trust that I could choose a really good man. You watch those shows where the woman ends up marrying the psychopath. I, for so long, was afraid that I would choose somebody like that because I didn't trust myself.
Yeah.
And so realizing that for a long time, I was always available, right? But I think that there was a really high level of fear that I was going to, because I come from a long line of a lot of divorce, and I don't want that to be a part of my story. Could it be a part of my story? Yeah. But I think for a long time, it crippled me from really I don't look back on my life and think like, wow, I definitely missed out on this man, or I definitely missed out on this one and I should have married this guy. I don't look back and have regrets about that, but I do think that I just spent a lot of time subconsciously being afraid that I was going to pick a bad one, that not necessarily that he'd be a psychopath, but maybe he would be an addict, or he would be an abuser, or he would be an adulterer, or, those subconscious fears that may have kept me from really, like, for my femininity to feel very available, right? Just out of fear and just being afraid of that.
Yeah.
And now stepping in and going, oh my gosh, that's silly. I've got great people around me. I am very trustworthy. And I really am not riddled with that fear anymore. Because it could happen, but it might not. But learning to trust myself that I can say no and I can say yes.
Yeah, that's good. I think that there's a lot of things that I have learned in these last couple of years and like dating more consistently. And trusting myself is definitely one of those things. And I've learned a lot about where I feel like I can't trust myself. But I think one of I remember you and I were having a discussion about, it wasn't necessarily about being perfect, but it was we want to, because we've done some work and we continue to do work because we lead women inside of this gym and inside this community, like doing hard things, right? And so we've spent some time alone. We've spent some time doing some really hard stuff. And so the byproduct of that is I feel like we have this ability to be honest with ourselves that has definitely been something that we have applied in this dating situation. And I remember thinking like, okay, I really want to be the absolute best version of myself for when I go into relationship and into marriage in this next season, whatever this looks like. And so I also felt like, all right, I need to make sure that all the things that I did before that I would screw up with, I need to make sure that I don't do those things in this next relationship, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember you and I talking about addiction at some point, and we were talking about when we are dating someone and we begin to learn more about their story and their past and things that they might struggle with. And it became really apparent to me in that season where I just keep saying season, but it really is like once I feel like I realized that things shifted for me, where I have my struggles. I have the things that I'm like still really not great at. I don't need to be great at them before I move into my next relationship. However, I just do need to be honest with them, with myself, but then also with the person that I'm entering into relationship with. And they get to decide whether or not they want to be in that struggle with me. And when they are honest about what they're going through, their addictions, their struggles, whatever that is, I get to decide whether or not I want to partner with them battling that, right? And so that was like, whoa, that was huge for me. That was huge because I felt like I wanted this, quote, perfect man, but yet in reality, I'm like, whoa, I'm not perfect. But yet I want to hide the fact that I'm not perfect to somebody who's perfect, right? And so it was like this really cool in my heart, just this realization of like, whoa, I can actually come to this relationship and be fully who I am. And if he chooses me in that is going to be the absolute best place for me to be. That's the relationship that I want to be in. And I also need to offer that to him as well. And he gets to decide whether or not he chooses me in all my glory. And I get to do the same for him. And I remember that moment where I was like, whoa, like that's a pretty cool place to be. Cause then I was like, I just need to be unapologetically myself.
That's really good.
I just love going into relationship like that because then I'm just not afraid of them knowing things about my story and about my life. And that's where I would sit where I was like, oh man, how many dates do we have to go on before I have to tell them this part about my story? Right? How many times do I need to, right? And then I also found that there were, and you and I talked about this as well, where one of the hardest things about dating the way it is now is you get to know someone over text message or online. And when that happens, you then fill in the blanks of who you don't know they are yet. Right. And so then you all of a sudden you show up and you have them built into this person that they are not. And that's so unfair for them. Right. It's so unfair because they aren't anything like that. And you're like, well, they don't meet my expectations. I mean, that's what you're even saying in your head, but you're like, oh my gosh, like that's pretty awful.
I think that's why it's so important to get that like early meeting, out of the way in that. Like I wanted to go back a little bit on what you had said earlier. I spent my 20s just being a train wreck. I think really just feeling lost, being really successful in business, but feeling really lost in my person. And then late 20s, like 29, started to realize, whoa, I want to be different. I don't know how. I need to heal some parts of my heart so that I can, love and be loved. And so I spent my 30s almost subconsciously trying to get to be better so that I didn't mess up a marriage, right? Because I'm not necessarily looking at somebody else and going, oh my gosh, this is not going to work for me. I most often go into relationship and go, oh boy, I'm probably going to mess this up, right? So if I don't, there's some places where I definitely need to get healthy here and I need to get healed here so I don't mess this thing up, right? So I don't end up getting divorced. But then when we're looking at that, my only goal is to be good enough to not get divorced. I'm not looking at oh my gosh, how great I could be now and how healthy I am in a marriage.
Yeah.
I'm worried about, it's that perfectionist part of me. It's that wanting to do things right. It's wanting to not upset people, that part of us that doesn't want to make mistakes. So then we're focusing on the mistake that we don't want to make.
Yeah.
And then living from there. And so I think I spent so many years, like you were saying, not fully being myself, because what if that isn't okay? What if it's not enough? Or what if me being myself just messes this whole thing up and just
Is too
blows
much,
just blows it all up.
Yeah.
But also knowing that I feel really grateful for every season of deep growth that I go through. I'm so grateful for those seasons, because I look and go, oh my gosh, this I will be a better wife and a better mother. Right. But then always like spending so many years of my life going, okay, just be better, just be better, just be better, so that you're good enough to be married. Because I think for a long time I looked and I'm like, okay, what's wrong with me? Right. Like, I'm sitting in these coffee shops.
Yeah.
And Prince Charming isn't just walking up and being like, oh my gosh, I would love to know you.
Yeah.
My God.
It's true.
But those subconscious things that we those fears that we live from, and those old stories that we know, and then being able to see them, play out in these relationships. I just feel like we could go on and on. We might need to do another podcast about our, like, the best and the worst of online dating.
There's definitely there's for sure.
Yeah, there's for sure a
there's
lot.
some great stories, some stories where and we sit here, both of us still single, and it's not because everything is horrible.
No.
It's not because the dates are horrible or the men are horrible or there's no good men out there and blah, 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 right?
No.
There's a lot of really good men out there.
Yes.
There's a lot of men out there, a lot of really good men out there that don't live here. There's a lot of really good men out there that,
live east of the Rockies and they just don't pop up in my hive.
Yeah. And there's a lot of men that aren't online.
Yeah.
And so it is, and a lot of the men that are online, you become like, I feel like after being on there for so long, you are just so conditioned to what you like and what you don't like. And then you can swipe on and not pick or match with guys that could potentially be, like we could have swiped so many times on, because I don't believe that there is the one at all.
No.
I believe it's just, it's one that you choose to that you want to grow old with, not that you want to be perfect with or be this, God's gift to by any means. But I really do. I just want to say that because I feel, and even this, like the timing with certain things just isn't right. But I would really love, I think, another time just talking about because I mean, believe it or not, folks, I've gotten myself in some compromising positions. Out of the two of us, my optimism has definitely gotten me in some situations where I'm like, does this car have reverse? This is,
how do I get out?
How do I get out of here? And I've also gotten myself in some potentially dangerous situations. But I usually,
it was fun.
It was fun. It was great.
So
yes.
if you had one takeaway as we wrap this up, if you had one takeaway of what you've learned most about yourself in this online dating experience, what would you say that was?
Well, dating, I really feel like it was a really big trust building exercise, if you will, for me.
Yeah.
And I remember the day, because I was always one that was, I'm agreeable, and I often will go with the flow. And so I remember standing in front of the mirror, and this was early on, and me looking at myself and saying, you can say no. You have an opinion. Those were two things that I needed to remind myself, and I still do every time I go out with someone, is that I can say no Because believe it or not, even though you're like, yeah, of course you can. But when the pattern is or was the way it is in my life, or it was in my life, I didn't give myself permission to do that.
Yeah.
Because what that meant was conflict or disagreement. And so like I can say no, I have an opinion, and those two things were extremely powerful for me.
Yeah.
And just reminding, no matter how good looking he is.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes that's hard.
When you're sitting across, I'm like, what's my opinion again?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. You can say no. I don't even know that word. It's just those kind of things, right? Where I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I think just what I had said earlier, just keep holding that tension between hope and disappointment, and not letting the disappointments break me. Not necessarily break me. That sounds really dramatic, but not
take away your hope.
Yeah. To steal the hope, or to move away from still moving in the direction of online dating and being here for this, because some days I just want to take a break and hope that I run into somebody at the grocery store, because that feels more fun. Or out at dinner, where you like see him from across the room and then he sees you and then you get butterflies in your stomach because you made eye contact at the same time, and then you're wondering if he's going to walk over, and then there's that interaction. That doesn't happen anymore with online dating, because you both swiped on each other and then you're like, cool, where should we meet and at what time? And then you walk up, and then, there are those nervousness things, but it's not real time. It's we've already decided to meet. We already both have agreed that we're interested. Those things. So I think
no risk.
It doesn't feel as risky.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, being able to, yes, be hopeful, because sometimes, like I said, I can be a realist, and that can get me into trouble. But also, the game changer for me has been acknowledging disappointment and feeling it, whether it be, this sounds really dramatic, but like crying about something and being bummed, and not necessarily it being about that person, but about the hope that was the balloon of hope that was like here, and my basket was floating, and oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible, to then it just being like popped, and then being sad that what you thought maybe could be just wasn't. And so I think acknowledging that and just being in the tension of both and staying in, even though you'd sometimes just kind of want to throw your hands up and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Could someone just introduce me to a really good man? So
yeah.
I think that would be what it is for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, it's definitely been an adventure.
Yeah.
And one, when I feel like you're present, it requires, at least that's like really when I look at the big picture, is like being present is so extremely important, and not looking at the future, not looking at the past, but just being like, I'm going to let this play out in real time. And even what you said, like disappointment does not equate to hopelessness.
Yeah.
And so that's huge.
Yeah. It's good.
It's great.
Well, that was a really fun conversation. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and tuning in. That was really, really fun.
It was.
If you want to find anything else out about Drop Gym, you can find us at dropgym.com. You can find us on Instagram at Drop Gym Effect for our global community, or Drop Gym Medford for our local gym community. So we hold 2-day events, 5-day events. We've got a running gym every single week. We would love if you followed, shared, liked, did all the things on social media to help spread the word. Tell your friends, and follow us on social media, and we will see you next time.
What's your handle? Yeah.
I have my own Instagram. I kind of forget to get on it.
Lou dot, is it? No.
It is Lou Crenshaw. LuCrenShaw. And then you are?
I am Shantell.Dayton on Instagram.
You're Dayton.
I'm Dayton.
Okay, Dayton.
Yep. That's
I kind of forget about my personal. I just don't do much with it, so I kind of forget sometimes. But yeah, follow us.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Yeah.